should fear them and dislike them, find them morally and intellectually repulsive, at least as much as, if not more, than I do. And I don't say that you don't.
All right, we're talking about Islam again. I'm Tal, the Traveling Clat, your favorite Zionist prince. Let's get right into it.
It's become a kind of an assumption among many Americans now that what Muslims are really after is the imposition of Sharia in every society in which they live, even Muslim minority countries. And there's not a lot understood about Sharia, but what is known is that crimes such as adultery, blasphemy, apostasy, and homosexuality are punishable by the death penalty. And to Westernize, this seems like a whole legal system that's a violation of human rights. So what is the intention with Sharia, especially for Muslims living in the West? Is the idea that eventually we get there and we all live under Sharia law?
You know, this is a legitimate question, and it's an important question. Because many Muslims living, not only in the West, by the way, throughout the world, you have Muslims, they deny this. They say, no, they don't understand Sharia, or they reduce Sharia to the penal code, and sometimes it happens. But Sharia is not the penal code, and still with this, that it's not only the penal code, we really have a problem with the understanding of Sharia by Muslims and the way it has to be understood in our time. And once again, many interpretations here. You have some Muslims, and you cannot deny this. Their perception of Sharia, it starts with the punishment, and then it goes towards social justice. Because you punish, you go to... And this is, for me, once again, problematic, and I'm critical of this, but I cannot deny the fact that you have a tiny minority of Muslim scholars, they think like that. In Nigeria, in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, everywhere. You have another understanding of Sharia, which is we start with social justice, and then the punishment is part of the whole process. Mm-hmm. And my position, I wrote many times on that, for example, in Western Muslims and the Future of Islam, the understanding of Sharia is the way towards faithfulness, in which way we are faithful to some of our principles. So it's not a closed system. Muhammad Abdu in the 19th century, when he was studying, he was under the British colonization, and we don't want this colonization, we want them out of our country. But the parliamentarian system is the best for us as Muslims. It doesn't contradict our system. And he was of the opinion that the democratic system is not opposed to Islam. So you have trends saying this. My position on this is that Sharia is the way towards faithfulness, it's the way towards justice, it's the way towards mutual respect and living together. So this is why, for example, when I read the American Constitution or any European Constitution today, and it is said all the citizens, men and women, black or white, should be treated equally by law, this is my Sharia. I'm not going to change this. So the point for me is when the principles are respected, and the principles of justice is something which are not two systems that are opposed, they are principles that are common, that we can live together. So this is where, from an Islamic viewpoint, from within the Muslim communities in the West, you will see that the mainstream position coming from all the Muslim organizations in the West is we abide by the law of the country, we are loyal to our country, and we act as active and responsible citizens within the country. And the only thing that we can say today is look at the facts and the figures and not only the perceptions, because I was shocked at what I got as an image. I didn't think that this could happen in the States, what we had with the community center in New York by people saying Islamization of America. I saw this in Europe. I thought it was impossible to have it here. And then it came here, meaning that the people are scared, there is a great deal of mistrust. These people are silently colonizing us. So this is where the Muslims, and this is why your question is important, should come and say, look, we are American citizens, we abide by the law, we respect the Constitution, we want to be treated equally, mutual respect and equal rights, no discrimination for any religion or no religion at all. This is the way it should be. And if you look at facts and figures, millions of Western Muslims today are just abiding by the law, and they got the 3 L's that I'm talking about in the book. Is the first, they abide by the law. The second, they speak the language of the country. English as you speak English, or German or British. They speak the language and they are loyal to the country. They want the best for their country. This is what it means to be a Western Muslims or Western or Muslim Europeans or Muslim American. And I think that the Muslims should also speak out about what they want, but they also need to be heard when they say things like this. Because I have been repeating this for 25 years. And after 25 years, what I get is, smart guy. He has a double talk. He say this, but he means something else. So if someone is telling you always, when you say something, that you have something else in mind, there is no discussion. This is once again the end of the discussion, because the point is that there is no trust. There is no potential discussion and critical discussion. And by doing this, let me tell you something which is also important. It's very counterproductive. Because at the end, there is no dialogue. It's not possible to talk, because if you talk and say, oh, you talk in a good way, it means that you have bad intentions. And if you speak in a bad way, oh, now we know your intentions. So what do you do? What are you going to do?
Could we accept that as a closing statement from you and let Mr. Hitchens make his?
Oh, goodness.
Because we've gone over? So,
That's fine.
I think that's a fine closing statement.
Thank you.
Do I get the same question? I don't mind.
Would you like to close with that?
On Sharia?
It really is. I find
No,
it's
okay,
a big question.
I like surprises. Well, Sharia just means law. I mean, all people who say Sharia law are making an elementary mistake, and of course it's not the case that every thief has their hand lopped off in Muslim society, or every adulterer gets stoned. And so, and I'm perfectly sure that's not just because it would diminish the labor force so radically, or so to speak, disable it. I think it's more because of something I've claimed to notice elsewhere, which is that religion is man-made. And so there are enormous discrepancies in how these things are promulgated and also how they are enforced. And most countries and societies come quite early and easily to the conclusion that their own religions are, in one form or another, not really practicable. After all, in Saudi Arabia, a woman can't even drive a car, whereas in Iran she can vote, not for much, but she can, as much as a man can, let's say. Her vote can be stolen and degraded as much as her husband's or her brother. There's an infinite variation. I don't know. I can't shake what I saw once on the BBC from someone whose career in London I followed. I don't know if you know him. You wouldn't like him. A guy called Anjum Chowdhury. He's a very well-known noisemaker around London, complaining about secularism, Judaism, all this kind of thing, and he'd been in trouble with the law a few times, and was interviewed on the BBC, went on about how nothing would change until the green flag of Islam was flying over Downing Street and Buckingham Palace and so forth. And was asked, I thought quite mildly by the BBC interviewer, he said, well, if this is the way you feel about Sharia and about total Islamic rule, wouldn't you feel happier moving to a country where they already had it? And which is, a polite question, but a rather cheap one. But still, what didn't prepare me for the answer? Chowdhury looked straight at the guy and straight into camera and said, what makes you think this is your country? I thought it was a very good question. Now, why do you feel, I think I know partly why you feel, why do you feel it's necessary to affirm that? And of course a Muslim should learn the language, should obey the laws, should observe the customs and so on. Most immigrants don't feel they, so to speak, absolutely have to say that. The answer, I suspect, is that it's embarrassing to notice that in places like as far apart as Sweden and as Spain, there are groups of people who say their countries should be part of the caliphate and that that's why they've come here. And if it wasn't for those people, you wouldn't be in this position. So it seems to me that in order to be consistent, you should fear them and dislike them, find them morally and intellectually repulsive, at least as much as, if not more, than I do. And I don't say that you don't, but I do think that is the urgent priority. On the lady's question about where would be the best country to live if you were a Muslim and wanting to be a member of a sexual or gender minority, or I think she said a female or a homosexual. So hard to confuse. Actually, the easiest place for you to live in that case would probably be, I was thinking about it while Professor Ramadan was talking, would probably be, this will be my closing statement, would almost certainly be either Bosnia-Herzegovina or Kosovo. Culturally Muslim, democratic, open societies in southern and Balkan Europe that were saved from obliteration by the power of the United States, which has never had a word of thanks for what it did in that country. And which remains a secular country with a godless constitution.
That's a note on which we can end.
Which is the last best hope of humanity. Thank you.
You know, the topic of Sharia and whether Muslims want to instill it, I don't think that I don't think it's any longer a question. It's more just you're watching it happen in real time. And while, you know, Muslims can, and even the most polite, moderate Muslims can try to deny the idea of it, it is true. They are, unfortunately, trying to instill in Western society in many regular basis. We reacted to a video not too long ago from Muhammad Hijab, which quite literally showed you that this is what his intention is. And he's one of the most popular, if not the most popular Islamic influencer, educator in the UK, one of. So when they tell you, believe them. Now the question is, what will you do? I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, Klats. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.